Hello, my name is Ev Ramadan from Vincent Music, and today we'll be having a look at the Prelude from Morta's 55 Easy Preludes. It is in E flat major, so why don't we begin by playing an E flat major scale. And let's remember how many flats an E flat major scale has. So we go through, let's have a think. It has, say it, how many flats? Go through the notes. Let's go through the notes. So we start with an E flat, then we go to an F, a G, an A flat, a B flat, a C, a D, and an E flat. Let's have a play. You can pause and have a play if you would like. I suggest you do. Okay, so now that we're in the key of E flat, and remember that all of our flats are A flats, let's start with the first line of Prelude, and then we will do the whole piece today. So let's think. We have crotchets and we have quavers in this piece. So we start with crotchets, but we don't want to play too fast so that we play the quavers. We can't play them at that tempo. So let's think, how fast are we going to play the quavers? Da, 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 I think is a good tempo. So if our quavers are da, 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 our crotchets are da, 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 da. Yep, okay. So at the beginning, we can take breaths between the crotchets. And then we want to take a really big breath there to try and get through that whole quaver phrase. This may be a little fast, but I'd like you to practice it so that you can get through the whole phrase a little bit easier. Let's have a go, and remember, what length should our quavers be? They should be long. So let's go from bar 2 again. Okay, I'd like you to have a go, have a little bit of a pause the video, and try going from there. Take the breath after that E flat and go all the way through to that G at the beginning of the 4th bar without breathing. Remember, do them nice and long. All the way. Okay, have a pause, give that a go. Great. So, in that phrase, there is another thing that we want to have a look at. When we make music, some beats are more important than others. This is a piece in 3/4, so the first beat of every bar is always the most important. And we want to bring out, this is the first beat of every bar. So, if we start from the beginning, so yeah, the important ones there are that B flat at the beginning of bar 3. I know that you may be running out of breath a little bit, but if you can get all the way to there and put that little accent just a little bit louder. That's okay. We just want to get a little bit so we know it's the first beat of the bar, and we don't get lost in all these quavers like, oh no, which ones come next? Who knows? What beat are we at? This is why we want to put the accents there, because it's just lots of quavers in a row, and we want to know, where are we in the piece? Yes, that's the beginning of the bar. So, let's keep that in mind with the next bit. So that was 4 bars, make a 4-bar phrase, like this. So that's first 4 bars, make a lovely phrase. Then we go for the next little bit, is a new phrase. So that E flat we want to make really nice and strong for the next bar. It's 1 bar, and then to the after the D is a breath. But you've just come from a nice crotchet, so you can take the breath after the B flat. after those quavers, you don't take any breaths. Only take the breaths after the crotchets. So we go. Remembering to slow those quavers as you do in bar 4, and remembering again, keep those quavers nice and long, even when they're tongued. Nice and long quavers, because they're the shortest note in this piece. So if we move on to the second line, we can take breaths after those crotchets. That's allowed. So yeah. And then there's a huge big phrase that we want to get through. We want to try and get through the next 2 bars up until after the G in the third last bar of the piece without breathing. It's going to be very tricky, and I'm going to give you an option to try and, if you have to breathe somewhere, you have to. But let's try and get through the whole thing first. I'll play, and then I want you to pause and have a play yourself. You can have a go. Okay, so it may be difficult, it definitely is difficult to get through the whole thing. Something that might help is that last G, in that third last bar, the dotted crotchet, it does not have to be as long as a dotted crotchet. You can make that and take in all of that air. That's okay. Like, you're allowed to do that. Obviously, you'd love to be able to go through the whole thing, but that's not realistic, that's not practical, so we're not going to do that. We're going to cut that a little bit short. If you have to take a breath, try and get to that D in one breath. Obviously, I want you to really try and practice getting all the way through without the breath, but if you need to take a breath, after that D is an okay place to take it. And so, we're really close to the end of the piece. So we have the so yeah, that's fairly straightforward, but let's have a look at it. So we come from this in the third last bar. We've gone through that whole previous 2 bars without taking a breath, beautifully, wonderfully. So you still need to take, as if it was a dotted crotchet, leave that amount of time rest. So do you want to have a try? Okay, great. So, I assume it was great. Keep practicing if it's not. But, so from there, we just have some nice crotchets to finish, exactly the same as in the first bar of the piece. And then we hold the E flat instead of going on to some quavers. To finish the nice piece, you solidify, we're in E flat major. Start in E flat, we end in an E flat, lots of E flats. So, you can take breaths after those crotchets, but you don't want them to be too short. You don't want... You want them to have a little bit of life to them. And remember, take some breaths so you can hold that E flat. You could, if you wanted to, hold that last E flat for a really long time. How about you have a try of that? Go from that F in the pickup to the second last bar and see how long, taking a breath after every crotchet, but not too long, still have beautiful crotchets, and see how long you can hold that E flat. I'll let you pause and have a go of that. Okay, so see, you can hold it, if you're taking lots of breaths, you can hold that for definitely a little bit longer than the 3 beats if you want to. Don't have to, but it's nice to. So, if we have a look at that whole piece, so the things that we want to remember are our quavers. We want to be nice and long, and we want to go through whole sets of quavers without taking a breath if we can. If you have to take a breath because it's just too long, you can, but ideally you want to practice to be able to go the whole time without taking a breath in between our beautiful long quavers. They're still tongued, but they're nice and long. Our crotchets, they can be a little bit shorter. You can take breaths after the crotchets. You can fill up in take a breath after every crotchet if you want, to be able to go for a really long time without taking a breath. A good example of this is in bar 7. In bar 8, 9, and in the beginning of bar 10, you have this huge long bit of quavers. And so in bar 7, you could you can take those breaths after each crotchet, still sounding lovely, but you can take some breaths after that to make sure that it's still, you can get through as easily as possible. And then the other thing we want to think about is sometimes you want to accent the first beat of the bar to make sure we know we're still in 3/4, this is where the beats are, we're not going to get super lost in all of these quavers. So you want to try and do it most bars, but really important is that first B flat in bar 3, so from bar 2. And then in bar 9, so if we go from bar 8, we want to accent on bar 9 the first D of the bar. So if you can't get that last G, that's okay. Sorry, the first G of bar 10, that's okay. It's okay you can't accent that because you're breathing for so long. But it's also nice in bar 8 to have a little bit of length and accent that first F of the bar. If you want to have a go of that, but just you can come back, you can be a little bit softer, on that higher B flat if you can, and then coming. Because remember, if you play a little bit quieter, it's easier to get through that long phrase because you're not using as much air. I'd like you to have a practice of that and learn all of those notes in the second line, and the first line, and then we'll have a look at that another time. So thank you, and I hope this was helpful.